Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. We're happy to kick off the open session, which is focused on quality management standards and new trends. I am Ekaterinin Maxim. I'm the chief editor of the journal Quality Management Methods. Our agenda will be a bit wider because a part of focusing on quality management standards, we will also focus in terms of this session to maximize analysis of the best practices and the best trends available currently, and to focus on the concept that they can be universal and can be also useful for many other companies. On our side, we try to maximize the impact of our session to the effect of such representative and leading companies from different industries, such as IT, electrical equipment, healthcare, and other associated industries. The only thing I would like to point out is that the session is organized by the Russian Quality Organization, so I will hand over the floor with a welcome to the representative of Russian Quality Organization, the CEO of Russian Quality Organization, Alexei Aniskin. Mr. Voronin was not able Mr. Gennady Voronin was not able to be here physically. So Alexei Igorevich will be here to share with you and to welcome you at the session and to share some regards and some expectations. Unfortunately, the mic doesn't seem to be switched on, so we can't hear the speaker properly. Dear colleagues, we welcome everybody at the Forum of Russian Standards Week 2020. The main goal of the forum is to stay focused on the outlooks of development of local and global standards trends. We can't copy the voice properly because the speaker is far away from the microphone. The foundation and the pillar to the development of the standards is laid by market players. The challenge is that we have to meet the demands of time, the current demands of time, and address the current challenges and address protection of our planet by means of standards, which appears to be one of the tasks. With all due respect to the experts who enable reaching the goal specified by the vision. It involves moderate use of resources and the input of national standardization bodies. With the current COVID-19 and lockdown challenges, that would enable further competitive power of the companies and the economy. By President of the Russian Quality Organization, Gennady Voronin. As you see, the microphone started working at the pandemic point. That makes sense. So hopefully you were able to read the first part of my message. And I would just like to add that our organization also has a sort of a milestone by releasing a 1,000th journal, Quality Standards. You may obtain a copy of this magazine at the entrance. If you are online, you may receive an e-copy of that magazine. Please apply to our website, and we will be happy to give you a copy of that magazine. Thank you so very much, and I wish you the best of luck and all the best in struggle for the best standards. Thank you, Gennady Voronin, for this welcome and for guidance. I believe that the Equality Organization of Russia plays a key role, general, both in terms of the activity that we believe to be a part of standards of quality, and whatever regards experience of application of standards, included but not limited to the Russian Standards Organization, plays a key role in distribution and promotion of the best practices. At this point, I would like to kick off with a review of trends and some outlooks of developments of global quality management standards. The floor will be and at this instance, I will share a little about such trends that are emerging in standardization world to the effect of system management. Primarily, I would like to point out that there's a lot of system management standards among the current audience and the online audience. There's a lot of users of different quality management standards, and their number keeps increasing ever more. In particular, it appears to be quite difficult to actually apply those standards without knowing about such a multitude of other directions and developments in standardization and additions. At the moment, you will see different quality management standards on the screen. Some of the documents emerged recently. Some of them were reviewed recently, and they are all suitable for audits. They are certifiable in the first or the second country. The latest one is more of a guidance concerning the quality management and activity of the ISO TK 2006. The most important standard that was published in 2020 was a standard for involvement of staff. This is an important document to the effect of standard implementation in general and in any other practices and experiences, because the result basically depends on this involvement, and other documents that are just being developed. For example, the quality tools documents are presented, included but not limited to a lot of practical aids and guidances and guidebooks. And another point is stats method standards are also developing, especially if we look into a previous version of the standards. We use a stats standard of 2003. Now, this statistical practices document is another key point for an organization using the standards. At the same time, it is important to point out and highlight in the industrial standards, this slide lists the recent standards that were introduced or reviewed in 2020. In particular, these are O&G standards, transportation and packing standards, and another document that applies to standards in nuclear energy. Concerning the trends, the main standardization trend is that mainly the guidances for application of standards and regulations appear, which means that the current situation with the standards is that many people fail to completely understand how to observe those requirements, because a standard is rather a framework. And it's up to a company to select the way of implementation. So mainly those guidances and regulations play a key role recently, and in fact, those standards are being published in the management system, included but not limited to power management and business continuity. On top of that, there are also guidances to apply standards in HSE. The HSE standards undergo development, and Generally, the current situation showed that the HSE risks are quite high. That's not just because of the lockdown and COVID-19. That also includes injuries. So it is important to look at this activity of the committee that develops those documents. In that case, we can point out that there is this standard for public certification, which is going to be published simply to minimize, to retain the COVID spread. The document is to be released by the end of 2020. This is one of the best global practices. It shouldn't be construed as cancellation of other regulations, but it can be an asset. At the same time, the national standards to the effect of healthcare also undergo development, and at the moment we can point out that the documents that you see on there on the screen, the national standards that are at the stage of approval, like requirements to management of healthcare, medical assistance, and prevention. This is a key document because there's no such document available worldwide, and it develops the standards 45001 with compliance with our legislation, and it's been looked forward to because developers are also members of the work group of healthcare committee, and they wanted to implement those standards, and it is intended to apply them jointly along with the risk management standards concerning the HSE and health of employees. Concerning those risks, there is a standard 45,001 and 31,000, but there is no individual dedicated document concentrated on HSE and providing medical help and connected with other issues dealing with chronic diseases. This document basically incorporates different risk factors and provides certain regulations. At the same time, the real estate facility management standards undergo development. They are focused directly on managing the facilities and providing services to facilities, in particular those connected with protection of the staff therein. So one of the key documents being developed by the technical committee is a document about prevention of various pandemics at the workplace. So this document is also focused on health safety. At the same time, if we address any other areas of standards like power management, it is good to point out that we develop standards for stage-wise implementation, and those connected with implementation of power management for major companies and many organizations. This is very relevant because we see that quite a lot of different companies that have included but not limited to affiliate branches when they implement the power management system, they face challenges. This is why the document is focused on this area. At the same time, standards to the effect of power innovation management are also undergoing development. So we should point out about the standard for innovation management, for implementation and design, and one standard for ideas management also develops, included but not limited to the document focused on development of certain innovation products. That includes documents governing for innovation management. We should also focus anti-corruption and compliance management standards like 19600. It is going to be replaced with another standard, and in that case, the companies that are trying to comply with the legislations, they can apply the standard 7000 later on, which is focused on corporate management, in addition to the documents just struggling with corruption. On the other hand, an active role is played by IT standards. It reviews the audit, IT information management audit standards, emergency response standards, and the other document for tools to manage IT and IT security is also developed because the other organizations know that there is an application which is focused and includes various security measures. In particular, this document is going to continue those measures. On the other hand, we also focus on cybersecurity. This is another important direction for the companies that mostly focus on IT. So that involves various risk assessment issues, and probably most interesting area is AI. At the moment, the work is the documents are being developed. They are at a stage of development, so there is a sort of a draft of those documents, and in that case, it appears that later there will be an opportunity to apply those standards to AI management systems, included but not limited to risk management systems, because a lot of stuff that's connected with AI involves risks which have to be assessed. So these standards are also important for the companies trying to maximize utilization of AI. Also, we need to point out the standards to the effect of business continuity, and we should focus on brand protection documents and a document for activities in social networks in emergencies to most quickly respond in case of accident and to protect the company in case any emergency happens. At the same time, there's a standardization to the effect of communication and relations. Generally, that is focused on building relations with stakeholders, both in terms of small and medium-scale business and large-size companies as well. So, in fact, these are the documents that will help the companies to maximize regulation, to develop their suppliers and vendors. And the other direction is connected with medical items. At the moment, the medical regulatory requirements are reviewed. So the exporters that actually export their products to apply for their distribution in EU, from now on, they should follow the new EU regulation. And due to that, other standards appear, which are also focused on application of those regulatory requirements. For example, the risk management standards, they apply those documents, and for the companies that will later develop the national standards and take part in this work. A good example is a sort of a separation of such guidelines for risk management in terms of one standard, and a technical report as a sort of a reference information and some case studies of actual risk management files development. The standards focused on HR training are also developed. For example, the KPI system design standards to the effect of increasing their efficiency and bringing up the leadership qualities. An individual document is going to be developed regarding these indicators. The management system standards are based on a sort of a common platform. So most of the companies using the standards today face the context and risk definition. So they try to follow standards 31,000. It is important that for such companies that use 31,000, there is an individual international workshop agreement, IWO 31, that's focused on integration with the management system 31000 for risk management and risk assessment. individual standards are developed on so-called travel risks. This is an important aspect in today's context and in the current lockdown situation. So to summarize different standardization scopes, we should highlight that at the moment we're trying to publish experience and provide an a competence exchange platform in terms of our publications in quality management, and those magazines and journals are focused on application of different standards. So I would like to encourage all the participants and invite them to publish their experience, their case studies. It could be a challenging experience. We're not just looking for the best results. We want you to share practices and approaches to solution of various issues and problems. So if you can, we would welcome your publications and your feedback. And we are always happy to study, review those. Thank you so very much for giving me this time. And from now on, we have an opportunity, included but not limited to hand over the floor to our audience, to the participants, to maybe clarify some points. If there are questions, feel free to throw questions at us. Now the colleagues will show you. I would like to clarify some management points. Please go up and speak up with a mic. Use the microphone so that the other audience watching us online can listen to us. So far, I will hand over the floor to the next speaker, and we can also address with authorities. Marina Klopkina, the Deputy Director of State Department of Measurements and Standards, Russian Ministry of Trade.
Yes, good afternoon, dear colleagues. It happens so that the topic of my presentation is something that I only learned yesterday, and I haven't been able to prepare a presentation for that reason. So I will look up in the notes, and I apologize for that. I understand that there are many interesting and many informative presentations, and for myself I have learned a lot. I read magazines, journals, which is always on my desk, and it's quite an enlightened audience when it comes to the quality management system. But I would like to say a few words, because I'm not permanently involved with this topic. Actually, I am more into the issues of technical regulations, but technical regulation. But of course, technical regulation on the one hand is quite a complicated subject, and on the other hand it's quite progressive. And we are always, what we always imply is mandatory requirements, and any initiatives pursuing development are always difficult to initiate and to apply. And the topic of my presentation are the new approaches in the improvement of the system, organizational system for the purpose of sustainable development. Today, before the break, when I was at an open session, the topic of sustainable development has been raised many times, and therefore I will probably repeat myself actually, but actually this year we started to look into this, and it's not exactly ours, because our department is in charge of technical regulation, standardization, and metrology. But of course, where there is metrology and standardization, there is development, and there is confirmed by quality management standards. And many things have been mentioned in each presentation by the Europeans, and it's once again actually proves that it's quite topical, quite interesting at the moment. And I'm a member of the working group on regulation of standardization in the market, and we have this task force meets regularly, and over the last 6 years, we heard oftentimes that for the purpose of about standards for sustainable development, but I never gave it enough thought, actually. I thought it's just words, just general phrases, but now that we started to get into this topic, I actually got quite immersed into it, and it turned out to be quite interesting, and it's too bad we are lagging behind a little bit. And of course, today's competitive industry is impossible without resource-saving and energy-saving technologies. And any production pursues profit and minimization of losses. And that, of course, is a managerial concept for any sort of enterprise which seeks to position itself as a in this competitive world in a positive and an attractive manner. So from 2014 to 2016, the economical production, resource-saving production standards have been developed, and we have issued actually a set of guidelines, sort of a monograph on that. And the activity of the council was to develop the resource-saving production and application of relevant standards and voluntary certification of managerial practices. Currently, this council has a little bit become a little bit out of date, because now we are seeking increasing of the performance of labor output and employment support, and resource-saving production is also pursued by the Federal Center for Labor Productivity Improvement. But even though certification is paid, it's something you have to pay for, we haven't managed to provide much support in that respect, but the other one is a national project, so it's more topical, and therefore we decided to transform that council where there are competent people and experts into an expert council for sustainable development. And currently it has been mentioned oftentimes that it's in the agenda, UN agenda, and when we were studying those goals in the UN agenda, actually to some extent even overcoming poverty is an important sustainable development goals of the United Nations. But it will be used in a combination and via the standardization toolkit. And when I mentioned about the group number 6, which has been mentioned, what kind of goals do the participants set for themselves? Only the European and Russian organization, they actually set the goal of sustainable, consistent support of the risk-oriented regulation when it comes to normative requirements to the process of oversight and regulation, also the usage of standards. Not only does it facilitate the integration of those documents, but also it allows to improve the architecture of such systems. So sustainable development goals can be actually integrated into the development mechanism, and the standardization and technical regulations as we see it will be one of the tools And we have prepared an analytical memo for the top level leaders of our ministry, and we are involved in organization of the activity of that council now, and we hope that its activities will be supported and its task will be the implementation of sustainable development goals on the Ministry of the Enterprises, which are overseen and supported by the Ministry of Industry and Trade. And also the support of implementation of sustainable development goals, SDG, otherwise throughout Russia. And if anyone is interested, we invite all the organizations, all the institutions to take part in that event. And we hope that this agenda will be topical when it comes to, like we said before, in our anniversary edition number 1000, an article about sustainable development has been published, and of which I am a co-author. And actually, at a certain point, when I started to work at the ministry, everyone creates some councils. So fortunately, everybody is working, and the Council for Best Available Technologies and all those councils, when we started to establish them and get them up and running, they got lost, and somebody took the lead away from us. So, but now I'm not going to pass over SDG to anyone. So thank you very much, and I would like to now pass the floor. Thank you for your attention, for the interesting news concerning the sustainable development. And many of the managerial standards are actually pursuing the goal of sustainable development. Therefore, the organizations which use different documents and different best practices will probably yield a great output into the activities of that council. And I would like to clarify now if there are any questions to Marina, colleagues. So far, so good. So I would like to thank Marina very much. And as far as I know, you need to leave now. So I would like to thank you very much for the presentation. We will definitely participate when it comes to any support that is required. And many of the attendees will do it as well. Now I would like to give floor to our next participant. We have several speakers who are remote. I would to give floor to Ekaterina Popova, head of the Siberian Airlines Quality Management Department. Now the floor goes to you, please. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Maxim, can you see me? I cannot see the presentation thus far, but maybe can you keep your mic a little bit closer so that we can hear you better? This way it's a little bit better. Well, there will be a presentation now, and good afternoon, dear colleagues. Ekaterina Popova, head of the Quality Management Department of the Siberian Airlines, and I would like to congratulate colleagues with a remarkable anniversary date, and thank the Russian Quality Agency for the opportunity to discuss the problems that are important for us all, including the digitalization of the standards management system of any enterprise. And we know that digitalization does not equal automation. It's a completely different philosophy, and therefore it utilizes completely different approaches to the management of the enterprise's documentation. And therefore we need to understand what the electronic standards are, what kind of software is used for that, and what kind of competitive edge it gives, and what kind of results the enterprises have already obtained that are using the digitalization of the standards in their environment. So I would like to, first of all, note the approaches to the documentation system. Can you see the presentation? We see the headline as speakers. We can see it. We see you, but everybody else must be able to see it now. Excellent. Ekaterina, also, can you also mention which slide? Because currently, I think there is a certain problem with the change of slides. So you should nominate the number of slides, or say next slide, or and then the colleagues will change it. Now, slide number 3. So when you are talking about the electronic documents, we are talking about actually a certain contradiction between the document and content, and because we are all involved in the auditing and quality management system, and I'm an auditor myself, and as an auditor, I am looking at the standard from the point of view of the compliance between the regulatory base and bylaws that exist within the company and external regulations. So we need to look into how things were endorsed, approved internally, and look at the electronic documents using the logic of paper, hard copy documents. But of course, electronic documents is only documented information. So legitimate information is represented in electronic form, in the form of a certain content. And as we are talking about different forums, I would like to first of all refer to IATA, which runs audits of over 400 companies worldwide. And I'm now showing this electronic document circulation system. On the screen, it's URL related. It's has an address, a World Wide Web address, and traditional understanding of electronic document are files stored on a server. So I will not go too far into detail. I can just mention briefly advantages and disadvantages. Basically, files on a server is a paper hard copy document logic. So if we are saying we have electronic document circulation, but we just store files, it's actually an automation of the paperwork, because you can always print a document in an attractive way. It will have all the signatures, endorsements, page numbers, etc. But you cannot segment split the quantity of the quality of those pages in order to be able to use it for technology purposes. When it comes to web pages, it's actually about content, because you can use it as building blocks for other documents, which significantly reduces the process of the document circulation and accelerates the life cycle. And of course, it's not only the form of presenting the data, but also the life cycle of the document. Slide number 4, the file circulation, I have just drawn it, but there are no difficulties here. It's absolutely straightforward interface. Whereas before we used to sign documents going from one place to the other, now we do the same with an electronic file. Of course, it's not a kind of document which gives us any sort of competitive edge. Next slide, please. But if we're talking about electronic document circulation, it has a completely different logic. Because in the first place, a unit of data is not a file, but a certain type of content. And the company determines itself what is a data unit, information unit, whether it's a chapter, a sentence, a section, etc. And each unit has an author which is responsible for compliance with the statutory requirements, and that it's updated and maintained. in the appropriate way, and everybody who uses it and the technology process are using the same source of information, which is important to understand. And well, the advantages that electronic document circulation yields is that out of any content we can create an unlimited number of documents. And by changing any information unit, we basically automatically change all this multitude of documents which are using that unit of information, and we can use the same unit of information. And if we are responsible for any section or any procedure used in other documents of your company, then other users do not have to reinvent it. They're just using your procedure. And if you are an auditor and you are responsible for reporting the compliance of your company with the statutory requirements, you always have valid links to all the statutory regulations which your company is guided by. And a specific feature of the electronic document circulation is the new competence that people are developing, the new competence that appear, such as information management operator, and its essence is that it can be actually someone who has created the information, who, if he or she possesses those competences, but also they can process those information units, those blocks, as a kind of a building material. And they can place it in them in databases, store them in databases, so that everybody else would be able to use them. And as I'm drawing a conclusion basically of this digitalization approach, I can say that it changes the approach to the management of documents. It's actually a valid information is a part of the technology for creating the end product. And in the construction industry, it's actually very graphic, very obvious. And you can see that a part of any building up any structure, you can use a so-called bill of materials, the use of units, the list of units, components, materials, etc. Unfortunately, this sound has disappeared, and we do not see Ekaterina. Now it has gone back. The line was down for some time. Now Ekaterina is back. And in order to design a structure, normally a bill of materials is used, which is a list of the materials, components, and units which are necessary for the production of the end product. Then goes to the economy department, purchasing department, and all other departments. So it's like a ton of files, and really extends the life cycle of a product. But what digitalization does is that a BIM approach is used. BIM is building information modeling. So it's erection and maintenance of a building and maintenance of the life cycle of a facility by means of processing and designing of all the information, all the economic and other data with all its links, and all those links is something all the participants to the process are working with, and that has been actually implemented at many companies. It's something that I observed at Rosatom. Rosatom has a division which designs power plants, and they use a special platform that has been developed in-house, and it accelerates the end product release and reduces the time and reduces to minimum the use of the human error, human factor, and so forth. And next slide, please. And now I would like to say that when it comes to the market of software, of content, For software for management of content, we studied several examples to utilize them at our company to purchase them. And in the market, there is a large number of providers of document circulation systems. I'm not going to talk about the advantages or disadvantages of that, but all suppliers of that software can be divided into two groups. One of them uses gross turnover, and others are trying to use file-based turnover, and others are using completely electronic turnover. So what does advanced software, what kind of advantages does it yield? Those are to manage the unified content, single content for several companies in several languages. And as an example, I can use TUI Group. It's an international tour operator, which, apart from the hotels and entertainment centers, has 6 airlines, and each airline, for each airline to be able to function, there is a certain set of documents which has to be developed, updated all the time, and each aircraft has to have a full set, and in each airline has to have a set, a force of developers who support the formatting of the document, and TUI. With its advanced software, it makes one set of documents with a small group of individuals, and it's also done in several languages. Actually, they lead. They are maintaining one document with the help of tags and sorting. They can sort it out and make a version adjusted for a specific company in the language which is used by this or that company. And we can use video content not on YouTube, not in some information or studying environment. Not all providers of those services are able to do that. Also, good software enables one to format automatically the content that we are placing online. And if there are standardization experts in the room, you can always, they will understand us, because if you have a massive document and a good Word template, then you can just manually spend a lot of time formatting it. Good software has tags, and tags enable one to have like a designer kit for documents, and good software enables one to work in parallel over one and the same content, which is very topical if you're working at one document or one chapter within the framework of a task force, and if you are in different parts of the world. For example, our flight manual, which is drafted by instructor pilots, they can be on a business trip and they can at the same time be developing the document. It also accelerates the updating of the documents and saves time costs. Also, the good software is client-oriented. The user is a client, the pilot, if he or she downloaded the flight manual, they can put in tags, bookmarks, color marked, and then they go. Often they disappear, but good software enables one to save all those attributes, and they are never lost, and it makes the document accessible for each specific user. And of course, the advantages, there are many advantages to each good piece of software. And I have just covered those which I would be very keen on using in my company. Next slide, please. And when we are choosing, after we have analyzed this multitude of types of software, you will be faced with a dilemma. What to do, to develop it in-house or choose a local provider or a foreign provider. And what what actually makes sense to have in mind the time, technology, and adaptability. And what it means is that when we are developing unique software for the needs of the company, you should understand that in order to develop such software, you should have such experts which are on the edge of all the latest changes, who attend all the international events, conferences, and who really know what the advanced technologies currently are. And sometimes for smaller companies, it's actually not the most important thing. And maybe in that case, it would make sense to pay attention to the ready, finished product. You're just buying into international experience, the new philosophy of working with the documents. In that case, it's excellent. And if your company is very unique or very closed, then you should, of course, work at the maybe custom-made solutions. And if we are talking about the payment in ruble equivalent, then because each software is a long-term investment, regardless of whether you are developing this product itself or buying it outside. And if you want to stop working with the service provider in order to provide for continuity of your business, you will have to. It will be quite difficult for you over a period of time, because the provider mostly, once your contract is terminated, will provide to you a huge mass of PDF files with all the changes. It will be very difficult to incorporate them into the structure and the activity of the already aligned technology process. And from the point of view of the time, if you want to develop the document circulation stuff, it will at best take 5 to 10 years. British Airways, for example, which is currently has one of the best products when it comes to document circulation management, has been fine-tuning and improving it for over 20 years. But if you are buying a finished ready-made product available in the market, then its implementation will take from 1 to 3 years. And from the point of view of adaptability, what should be mentioned, what I mean is the software adapted to your needs. And in the first place, when you are talking to a provider of the software, of course, it will promise you. You should not believe it, because all providers, they're actually working with a standard product basket. And if they are doing something which is tailor-made for you individually, then it will cost you quite a bit. For example, what one of the Swedish providers does in that respect with its clients is that all clients annually draft certain notes to the provider what they want to upgrade or improve, and by the end of the year all the comments are published on the website, and then each user votes, and the top 15 upgrades will be used next year, and everything else will never be used. So if you are really working at it, then you really need to choose a provider which will do custom-made things which suit you. And now, briefly, Ekaterina, yes, I will have to interrupt you, because according to our time schedule, everyone needs to fill into a time slot. So it's probably my last slide. So briefly about the experience that we have. Of course, we did not look into digitalization as only digitalization of the standards. It's a global process. And I would like to go back to BIM technologies in architecture. We are trying to make digital all the processes. And we have the so-called software and hardware complex for pilots and other employees, and we have, for the pilots, we have the tablets, and the flight tablets, all the airlines using the files and electronic documents in the framework of different types of the software. And also the flight attendants, they also have that, and the special software enables them to also use it, and by using those sets of hardware and software, you can get feedback from the personnel. And the idea behind all those systems is that they all use unified single databases, which enable one to improve the quality of the product and accelerate the updating of the information, and significantly improve the convenience of the personnel when they are handling those products. And as I'm drawing the conclusions, I would like to say briefly that we are all in a certain evolutionary time period, from document management to content management, from document libraries to digital platforms, from standardized interfaces to client-oriented ones, and from the portfolios and archives and cabinets, we are going basically to electronic portable devices which store all the information. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an awesome report. Are there any questions so far? Not in the audience. The only thing is concerning your experience that you shared to the effect of evaluation of its efficiency and cost effectiveness, not for designing of software, but concerning procurement of the software and the result and its economic impact by optimizing, improving the workflow. Is there so far any analysis, any estimation of this digitization in your company as a case study for us, unless it's classified information? It's not classified, but I wasn't prepared to that. I couldn't tell you specific figures, I'm afraid, how much it is in man-hours or in rubles. We would mostly address a redistribution of workflow, but what is essential if we procure good software, we looked into what we can customize for aviation. Primarily, this is Western software, and that was priced in US dollars. We did not procure that one. So far, the project is suspended because of the COVID-19 lockdown. The Pobeda airline increased the revenue because they can still operate domestic flights. So far, we have to save, and once we ride a smoother part of the wave, we will look for a Russian software developer willing to cooperate with us and to promote our products on the market. Concerning the works, we minimized the number of experts, we redistributed the workflows that were involved with the process, like formatting of the document, file management and file exchange. It's become simpler and faster. Previously, it was a pilot and somebody who designs a document. Right now, it's just a pilot who knows how to work with a document. The software makes their operation very easy, and we customize it takes much less time to transfer information from proprietor to end user. Thank you for this report. I would like to hand over the floor to the next colleague, Natalia Rasokhina, QC Manager and Operational Improvement Manager, ABB Russia. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Natalia Rasokhina, and I represent the Russian division of the ABB. I will start with an introduction of the company. The ABB is an international concern that is represented by in more than 100 countries worldwide. It's quite a big company, more than 110,000 employees operating worldwide. It is focused on various industries, trying to offer not only products but also a synergy of products with software, providing ready solutions for customers. For the time being, the business is represented by 4 main scopes, each scope containing from 2 to 5 smaller divisions. And what puts them together and what is in focus by the company is digitization. That is, a company is focused on providing digital solutions for different industries, and to this end, our main company that's located in Switzerland offers different exciting products and solutions. The industry in Russia is represented in a small sector. Mainly we are dealing, but locally we also offer different solutions to our customers, trying to understand what their needs are in the local market. And a brief overview, there are 730 employees in Russia. We have 30 sales offices and services in Russia. Concerning industry, we have 3 production sites. Generally, we procure all our products at the overseas factories. Getting down to the practical details of my reports, the concepts of improvement that became our pillars or the main benchmarks and priorities. The standard specifies that a company should focus on improvements. This is required to at least support existing QC and Q management system and obtain the current targets and also to analyze and explore new various opportunities. This is a real business need for us rather than a standard requirement. I'm not addressing survival, but what I mean is remain at the level that we reached so far. Like Alice said, to remain at the same spot, you should run very, very fast. That applies to us. And to forecast our customer, because the customer becomes more demanding and more picky. They want more information. We need to work or go ahead faster and faster. So this is what we're getting down to. I will not go over the standards over and over again. To improve, the company should have methodology. It should provide competent staff that were trained in this methodology, and the company should also provide a network for those projects to be implemented, monitored, supervised, and analyzed. Their efficiency should be analyzed. As an example, I took electrical equipment sector. We have 4 sectors. This is the biggest division with a market share of about 6%. And this is a number 2 at the market of electric equipment in Russia. We are into a wide spectrum of equipment, all the way starting from the sockets, all the way down to such solutions as power stations for e-vehicles and smart houses, digital homes, and smart homes and smart facilities. We work with a lot of major distributors for which we have a lot of shipments every day. So internal logistics is a key priority because external and internal changes impact our lead time and the quality of our deliveries, and this is something that the customers see. So we understand that for this particular division, we have to carry on. We have to work very hard to improve and to respond to external challenges and changes, getting down to what we implemented to go ahead even faster. As far as we are not an independent unit in Russia, we regulate our main requirement for the main company, and we follow the methodologies and the regulations provided. What we had as a kickoff, we had methodology to improve the Sigma technology. The number of the projects improved over a year was up to 10. What were the reasons of starting the project? First of all, it was the goals set by global management, feedback of customers, results of audits, and sometimes initiatives by employees. General project implementation time was about 12 months or more, but then we came to understand it's too little or too slow to satisfy or to catch up with the changes occurring in the market worldwide and to catch up with our competitors. We also understood that this Sigma methodology does not fully comply with our demands because Lean Six Sigma is more focused on problems rather than implementation of a new service to solve new problems. So we took the role of the first explorers and we tried to implement trendy Scrum methodology, trying to understand what it is about and how it will work out for us. As a result, it boiled in a year, we increased the projects up to 15 or 20. And more initiative, more offers were provided by the staff. We saw that the project was effective and people came up with more and more ideas. The general project implementation time decreased to 6 or 10 months. So we also improved some other indicators, like by the end of the project, the end result, the targeted result is still relevant for the market because in the previous version, when it took 12 and more months for the project, we were at the end point and the result was not relevant. The customer was already looking for something else at that point. What is Scrum methodology? A Scrum methodology is a part of a Agile methodology collection. The Agile methodology was mainly, first of all, created in IT, and when we just started thinking about agile technologies, we looked at it with caution. We thought it's major IT stuff, and nevertheless, we wanted to look into that and how we can use that in our company. We developed a manifest to the effect of agile implementation consisting of 12 principles to be followed. This can be, you can read the details on the web. What is the difference between classic project management from the Agile? This is a classical project implementation waterfall. You have business requirements at the input, then it's converted into a technical assignment or terms of reference. The staff handles the technical assignments, providing a result after, say, 6 months or so. What's the difference of Agile methodology? It also has business requirement at input, but duration of the project can be 6 months, but every 2 or 3 weeks after every sprint, every 2 or 3 weeks, we calibrate or we validate solutions and results with the stakeholders or external customers, which enables us to understand where we are going, if the requirements, if the customer requirements were changed or modified, is there any added value? Because in the classical methodology, there are too many losses. When a lot of work is done, yet it becomes wasted. It's not in demand. The Agile approach is not only effective in IT, but even it is effective in technology. Agile methodology works in finance, in governmental services, in insurance, and many other areas. Why is Agile implemented? Primarily to have an opportunity to respond to changes with flexibility. You know, there is a flexibility. Expectations and demands are changing rapidly, so we need to adjust and catch up with that. If there are so many projects inside, we have to understand how we manage the project, how many projects we have, what are the main stages for if a project is implemented over 6 months or a year, the visibility of this project is lost. So Agile enables you to quickly trial new ideas, included but not limited to digital ones. A customer sees a solution, but they want to customize it, so we start offering something, and a customer gives us a feedback whether it's what they expect or not. Getting back to classical Scrum methodology, we didn't implement it exactly in the same format, even though we had strict instruction that we should not change nothing, otherwise it's not going to work. But we came to understand that the classical Scrum form will not work out for us. The main limitation was that the staff involved with the project and focused on the products should be fully committed to the project or product, which is important, which is impossible in our company because our staff is multitasked. They wear many suits, basically. So we needed to develop our approach and to limit their time up to 30% of their work time. So we try to carefully monitor that time because, as a rule, the same key staff is involved in the project. We have a list of projects which have been started and are awaiting their turn until the other project is completed. I think I will skip the theory. You will be able to read the report later. It's a theory of Scrum operation. Briefly, there is no magic behind it. The main key components that worked out for us and enabled everything to go so smoothly and to keep the project running was a teamwork. The team is held responsible for the project. There is no single stakeholder. Rather, the team feels a responsibility until they find the solution, until they understand what they need to do. We don't split, and there's nowhere to go and no one to point a finger at. The other key point that was an asset was change of employees' mentality or mindset about how to take part in the project within Scrum methodology. It is assumed in Scrum methodology to conduct so-called sprint reviews or Scrum calls. The calls are made twice a week within 15 minutes for all the team to be online with what's happening, with what others are doing. We do not deal with issues and problems, but at least the team is aware of what happens. And it can't happen that somebody goes away on a business journey and they forget about their obligation. They know how to delegate the job, or they would inform a Scrum leader about the current status and progress of their work. And that was a safeguard of saving the time by keeping somebody informed because another person is absent, by having other meetings to discuss the details. It was much faster because of this new discipline. This was a challenge. This was probably the main obstacle. We even had to employ administrative resource because some managers pretended to behave the same way. I'm a manager, I'm a leader, I'm the boss, I'm in charge, I'm too busy, I can skip that. Once everything was fulfilled, we were able to increase the speed of our projects. Another important asset that was like a key driver for the team to understand this information was visualization. Visualization is a tool It's important as stickers at the first kickoff meeting when the project is split into smaller tasks. What are the key tasks? What are the key steps to be followed during the project? The first sprint is 2-3 weeks. We started planning and monitoring the tasks in Teams Planner. It's a very comfy, cozy tool which enables you to basically roadmap and to generate tasks for the next sprint. All the team that's part of the project can access this, and that's an asset in this pandemic time. We can carry on with the project online without any losses. The challenges that we face as we implement Agile, these are all the bottom parts. The general resistance to change in the company, because we are a global company. A lot of changes are implemented. The people get tired. They resist. They're not happy about new initiatives. So it was important to plan communication and increasing their awareness about why it is important. So at the first project, it was important for us to make it all happen, to make the magic happen, and to make the people believe we were able to succeed. And this resistance was not broken, it was rather gone in a natural way. The other challenge was insufficient involvement of managers. We are lucky because our manager is a proactive leader, and he promotes implementation of new, especially digital methods. The third top is inconsistency of processes within the team. This must be monitored manually at the first stage by using the Scrum Masters and team members to ensure there is a link in the team and between the processes. To complete my report, a year passed when we started implementing the Scrum methodology. We implemented quite a difficult project for the first time. We developed a new policy and sales policy, and last January we started broadcast sharing this methodology by implementing new projects, and as of this March we kicked off the first distributed team. When a team is not in the same location or division, and one project had several sub-projects linked with each other, so the team members had to communicate with each other. By this September, we launched more than 15 Scrum methodology-based projects, including the projects with integration of external companies. Now, one slide is gone. To complete my report, I'd like to share that this methodology is not a magic tool. It's not the only tool for implementation of the projects. We also left over this standard methodology of a waterfall, because Scrum methodology is good when you have limited time and you're facing the deadlines, or you care about a project, or you care about its priority. In that case, the staff is working hard and they can together take care of many projects. Otherwise, they get exhausted. They cannot work like this all the time. So we have to understand the project-related priorities, the deadlines, and we should not force everything into the same format. Basically, I'll wrap up at that point. That was my report. Thank you. Thank you so much indeed, Natalie. It was an awesome report, and it's exciting that this methodology is often used in IT, also used in your business. Think it's a great experience and information for other companies, because if we refer to standards, it's also not really a universal tool, so any other approaches that are usable, can be tried, and your experience is exciting and very helpful. Thank you very much indeed at this point. We have some limitations on time. I would ask the next speakers to keep your reports within 7 minutes maximum, if you can, please. Thank you. The next speaker is a representative of Kaspersky Lab, Karina Napadovskaya, the leader of certification group of Kaspersky Lab. Karina, the floor is yours. Can you read me? You copy. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Karina Napadovskaya. I represent Certification Division of Kaspersky Labs and QC management system in the company. My report today will be focused on application of the quality management system in the company, safe development processes, and the main challenges that we faced at implementation and maintaining the processes and their practical impact and practical benefit. The Kaspersky Lab is an international company with a global vision focused on safe world, and our mission is to build a safe market.
Therefore, we aspire to provide safety in order for everyone to enjoy the unlimited opportunities technologies can offer, and the aspiration to innovate allows us to create the very effective and convenient protection from cyber threats. 400 million users are using our technologies every year, and we really highlight the safety of our products. The more complicated the mechanism is, the more faults, the more possible are the faults. Unfortunately, I cannot change slides. So the more difficult, the more complicated the mechanisms are, the more likely they are to fail. So in such a system as a Kaspersky Lab, the well-aligned quality management system enables to provide for progress and at the same time retaining status quo. Why we thought about the quality management system is because it provides an opportunity to access international markets, increase the competitiveness and the growth of confidence among the partners and customers. And we also have well-organized user support system and a system for effective measures against drawbacks, and also for a system for continuous development and improvement of technology processes. In order to fulfill the tasks related to the quality management systems and the company, we created a task force, of which I am a head, which is in charge of the strategies, policies, and in quality management and increasing awareness about quality management, annual internal auditing, and ISO 9001 certification. On a regular basis, the principles I mentioned before are closely intertwined with the other ongoing processes at Kaspersky Lab. That includes the requirements to the products, and critical ones are introduced in the checkup system during the next release, and that enables us to go keep the pace of the development of new technologies. And also we have regular training and retraining of personnel. In 2016 we have published a safe development guideline, and if a company wants to be certified by the regulator, Russian regulator, then it needs to observe that GOST. And we have analyzed the existing processes, and the threat models and risks have been developed by various analytics and not architects. And there has been system developed by individual teams, and some certain processes were developed from inside by individual teams without the involvement of internal auditors, which work throughout the company. We also had an external external user calls processing. And in order to implement a cycle for safe development, we have developed special safety team out of 7 people and 40 to 50 safe appraisal, safety evaluation team. And on this slide we have the safety programs, including our cornerstone. It's support from the company, and also we have expertise center, the product safety department, which is in charge of the safe development standards observance. Also, there is a special person who is called quality champion. Also, we have independent teams which are in charge of internal auditing of the products before their release, and the certification teams. But in any case, we have a set of problems that people have to address, which includes limited resources in the first place, and therefore the technical director has identified security champions whom we have connected with the expertise center, and also the breakthrough, the pioneer syndrome. Many things require customization to the customer's need, to our own needs. Therefore, we have established a certification week where the regulator representatives also come, certification bodies representatives, and in our narrow circle, we can discuss issues and raise questions which cannot be raised otherwise if we get together, and also discuss different bottlenecks, and also a lack of qualified personnel. In the framework of an international educational products Kaspersky Academy, we aspire to raise cybersecurity awareness among students worldwide. And also we do the Saved Boat, the internship program for students. Concerning the choice problem, we need to find a golden middle. If someone needs new features, while the development department wants quality, and therefore the upper level management wants to find the golden middle, which would fit everyone, suit everybody. And it's just a first step on the way to safe functioning, and we need to address the problems related to the development of that cycle. And that includes the sustainable use of resources. We reduce the utilization of resources and try to prevent repeated incidents and prevent them in the future. Also we seek correct metrics, and we have developed criteria applied to correct the metrics, which means single cohesive interpretation, and a number of other criteria, which can only work jointly together. And each team has its own opportunities for safe development, and the maturity level of those teams were different. In order to assess the process, we have developed the maturity model, which has created a single vector for all and possible risks. For working with various platforms and languages. We have tried to solve that problem by increasing our staff competences, and also improving the opportunities for code analysis. And that enables us to better use and update our experience in using relevant technologies. And we are trying to make them match international standards. Here there are a few of our achievements from the current year, which include the certificate of compliance for ISO 9001, and also it's the first product worldwide which was certified for high level of maturity. Also, we went through certification auditing very successfully for ISO 2701, and also gone successfully through external auditing of the safe development lifecycle. We can refer to the results of that auditing and increase the confidence both on the side of the regulator, Stack Russia, and that also enables us to increase transparency, external transparency. And the implementation of the quality management system have brought us practical benefit expressed in a few aspects. The representation in technical committees, we actually do invest our expertise in that. And we improve thereby our practices, our internal process, and we find practical application from outside. And it's better to do it at the development stage than during the actual utilization, operation of the product when it's commercialized. And many departments are involved in that, such as PR and sales and marketing. And by improving the safety of products at the early stage, we can thereby save resources. And the confidence of the customers is very important. Many choose our Kaspersky Lab products, and it is true. Thank you. And thank you, Karina. And any questions to Karina? To Yulia Yuroshenko, Manager for Sustainable Development Standard Compliance of Coca-Cola HBC Eurasia. She will connect to us through video conference connection. We are going to set up the video now. Yes, I can hear, and do you hear me? On the whole, yes. So, yes. I will myself be showing a screen with slides. I will be sharing it. So we have this, we're now seeing the screen, we can all see it. And so Maxim has been kind enough to introduce me. I can once again repeat that I'm involved with the sustainable development standards with our company, and our company is aspiring to always be a leader among the companies which implement the standards, and it's not an exception. The way we have redefined the standards. Okay, yeah, okay, everything is okay on the screen, so you're welcome to continue. So it was not an exception. The way we have reviewed a whole number of ISO standards with the different numbers which are applied at our company from 2015 to 2018, and now I would like to actually share with you our experience of applying the main provisions from those standards in business risk management. I think in this audience probably there are few people who never heard of Coca-Cola, and many are likely to be fond of our products, our drinks, and it's a quite dense infrastructure of sales in very large cities and beverage manufacturing. And we are present in over 100 cities in Russia. And in Russia, there are over 7,000 employees working. And over the first 10 years of our operation in accordance with ISO standards, our plants were certified individually. And since 2011, due to the ongoing centralization of management, we have in the first place integrated 4 management systems, such as quality management system, and food safety system and environmental management system and the labor safety protection into one integrated management system. And for 3 elements out of those 4 systems, we have actually certified ourselves according to a multi-site system where one certificate is issued for the entire company for all production sites, including head office. And the main area for us, because we are a food industry company, is that we certify a food safety system individually for each production site. And one of the fundamental changes and the latest changes to ISO standards is the introduction of the requirements related to the appraisal of the environment of the organization and around it, which it has around itself, and risk-oriented approaches. And because in the vocabulary of ISO 2001, this notion reads that the environment is a set of factors affecting the approaches and the ability of the organization to achieve certain goals. We, in the process of choosing those environment factors, we have identified the following groups. It's a state, business, environment, and the organization itself, which is an internal factor. And all the examples which are given in comments to ISO 9001 and 4001, which describe the organizational environment, external environment factors, are characterized by the items which you can see on the slide. For example, changes in the statutory legislation are initiated by the state, and the competitiveness and market issues are normally identified by the business community, and cultural and social aspects are formed by the public opinion and mass media, and there are also values of culture and knowledge inside the organization which is possessed by its personnel. And the foundation for effective risk management, in our opinion, is a clear-cut system of monitoring of changes in the environment of organization in order to identify the potential risks at the earliest possible stage. And on this slide, you can see an example of a matrix which, for each factor of the environment, has a certain a type of change which you can expect from that factor, certain methodologies, monitoring, information of the awareness of that change, and the regularity with which the responsible party has to conduct monitoring. And of course, in the first place, we're talking about the changes that will be applied. And in terms of environmental management, etc. And in our opinion, this precise division of responsibility and clear-cut monitoring procedures enables not to miss any important changes due to which the risks may arise for the business. And the process of analysis and assessment of the detected potential risks is built in the following way. Having in mind the structure of our organization, the first factor of a stage of working with the potential risk is on the level of a branch or a factory, and at regular meetings, managerial meetings, in the framework of analyzing the performance over the respective period, potential risks are also reviewed, which have been detected by the responsibles. And already at the branch level, we determine the plan of working for preventing those risks or its minimization, and the risks which, due to the assessment of the methodology, have been recognized as critical or high, are always escalated to the function leaders or business risk committee. And normally all those risks which can emerge potentially due to the changes in the surrounding of the organizations are worked at on this or that company level. And on this slide, you can see the methodology according to which we assess the risks. And here it's based on quite standard combination of the assessment of the likelihood of the risk and the gravity of its consequences. And the gravity of its consequences, we always take two factors into account out of those listed on the table. And the assessment of that gravity is based on the average value. And we are not only assessing the business losses and financial losses, but also the effect of the risk on the worsening, the jeopardizing the product quality and company reputation, etc., depending on in what field the changes took place and how it can affect the business process. And I can just give 3 examples of how the process of identification of the changes was built, identification of risks, and planning of the actions for their prevention. For environmental protection, labor safety, occupational safety, and product quality. And you can see that in the first case, the changes have been made to the legislation, which entailed changes to the budget, respective changes to the budget. In the second case, there was a trend to the change in the number of contractors at the sites. It led us to reviewing the process of granting access to the subcontractors to the production sites, and also as a result of complaints about certain product quality from the consumers, we have reviewed the procurement matrix and the list of our raw materials suppliers. Like I said before, the risks which have high critical value due to the assessment are being promoted to the management or company level as a whole. And if those require more strategical solution, and they may require strategic solutions and additional investment. And the committee for the risk assessment, which consists of function managers on the level of the company, they get together once a month, and the task of the committees for the assessment of the efficiency of those risks and risks that have been detected before, and the analysis of newly detected risks and their assessment and the development for their reduction, and determining the responsibles and timeline and required resources at all. And then due to the operation of the Business Risk Committee, we can constantly maintain the live, constantly changing register of business risks. And our experience of using this approach, which is based on the ISO standard requirements, provides for effectiveness of risk management related not only to the performance of our company and in terms of product quality, labor safety, and environmental impact, but also the management of business, financial, reputational, and other risks. And this is all I wanted to share with you for today. Thank you very much. Now, Yulia, thank you very much for your presentation. So, having in mind the fact that we are pressed for time, I think we would like to once again thank you for the presentation. I would like to introduce to the next speaker, Mr. Yury Vanov, head of the National Institute of Quality of Russian Healthcare Oversight Authority and managerial magazine, managerial journal editor.
Good afternoon, dear participants. Bearing in mind that we are limited in time, we're hard pressed for time, I will be sharing about quality management system in healthcare. in a very sensitive industry. I am sure that we feel today how important it is to have those quality assurance and quality assurance tools. We recall the quality of healthcare in case of emergencies and negative events. If a client is happy with the medical assistance at a medical office, the doctors are happy and everybody is happy, you know. If there is an incident, an emergency, then unfortunately they will need to apply to quality and analyze the situation. Healthcare is highly exposed to risk. The risk of dying of poor quality medical help is 100 times higher than risk of injury or death by aircraft crash or NPP disaster. The challenges faced by healthcare are not relevant for our country only. This is on the top of the agenda worldwide, and it occupies the best minds in all the countries, offering different solutions to improve the quality and safety. Obviously, the universal recipe that we have is the standards. However, if we address production of medications, there is a GMP, international standard. Everybody follows this standard, and we trust the medicines that are certified according to GMP. When we address the medical equipment, the situation is the same. We address ISO 12345. If the production is certified, we can trust the manufacturer. We can trust they manage the risks and appropriate quality management level is ensured. Obviously, the medicine is multi-component and multifaceted businesses, so the processes that form it are more complex and more important than those that we observe in industry. During the latest 70 years, standards are the basic pillar for ensuring quality in healthcare. There's a whole bunch of global standards ensuring quality and safety that are applicable in many countries worldwide. There's 38 global standards which are accredited, certified in International Healthcare Organization and are applied in different countries around the world. In that case, the Russian Federation has two ways to go. Point one, using an international standard like a GCI standard, which is best known, an American standard that is applied in 70 countries worldwide, according to which more than 1,000 companies are certified in different countries. But it will be a nightmare if we adopt an international standard like a GCI. Not a single organization can comply with those requirements because of various reasons, all the way from the mentality and financial restrictions that we are facing today. So this is why a more acceptable solution for the Russian Federation is development of national standard based on national requirement system that will be more relevant and better understood to the effect of our professional policies and established levels to be applicable and obtainable in different companies. Due to that, a three-layer system is designed. The first is a basic level. It's determined by mandatory requirements specified by the Russian Healthcare Ministry, which are concentrated in the order of Russian Healthcare Ministry number 381. The next stage is applicability of the national standard, and to this effect we can refer to the example of voluntary certification of healthcare quality, which basically involved different requirements specified for the medical company that can be certified with the requirements specified for this system. And the third stage applies to companies applying international standards. There's not so many companies here. For example, it is just 4 certified GCI certified companies. 1 is governmental and 3 are private medical companies. We can also refer to Kazakhstan as another case study. It is our neighbor, and they are quite close to us mentally and culturally. They have 7 such organizations. So international standards are a complex system which needs preparation, needs mobilization of some resources and mobilization of opportunities. The voluntary certification is based on guidelines of Russian Federal Service for Supervision in Healthcare. There are hospital, clinical, and lab guidelines and specific guidelines, for example, for dental services. When we started implementing this certification and guidelines, we started with 6 companies and 4 regions. It's 40 regions and more than 200 companies implementing it now. This is a diagram of assessment of 50 hospitals operating in different regions against the requirements specified by the practical regulation of the Federal Service for Supervision in Healthcare. Their experts were trained, so formally everything looks fine. However, when we assessed against the requirements specified in the practical guidelines of the Federal Service for Supervision in Healthcare, we found out that there's a high number of risks in those companies that are not managed by anybody, all the way from the head physician to the nurse. Oftentimes, these are high-risk companies, and the risks are not managed. And oftentimes, we have to account for the fatal accidents that occur in those medical institutions. The diagram is a risk map on one hand. On the other hand, it's a roadmap to remedy the situation and increase the safety in medicine within basic directions for a medical company to operate based on safety concepts and aspiring for improvement of their quality. Obviously, implementation of these guidelines is not a single-day process. We construe that it may require a year or half a year for a lab, for example. But the companies that implemented those recommendations show clear success, good economic indicators, and indicators of management and supervision. To complete, I would like to sum up and say that at some point of time, everybody becomes a patient. After we become a client and we walk over the threshold of a medical company, first of all, we expect that institution to be safe, and we expect the relevant medical assistance, the relevant care. That's possible when we create such a national system that would enable us to improve our operation in the medical companies around the country, and this is what we are focusing on today. I really appreciate the facilitators for giving us a chance to present this national standardized system of healthcare management. Thank you very much, sir. That's quite exciting. The National Quality Institution works hard in this area in medical services, so it is commendable that we carry out this kind of work. This work is underway in the country. In that case, I would like to hand over the floor to Mr. Dmitry Yartsev, the member of Russian Quality Organization and delegate of ISO TC 176. It's a technical committee. Dmitry, the floor is yours, sir. Dear ladies and gentlemen, first of all, allow me to recognize you with the Global Standardization Day. It's a day that we celebrate every year on the 4th of October, all the way from 1946, from the date when the governmental standard of the USSR, the British, American, and US standard institutions adopted an historical decision about establishment of ISO. And ever since then, most of the standards developed worldwide are developed on the basis of participation of the delegates from each of the stakeholder countries, and they are later implemented in every member state. As of now, all the developed countries primarily follow ISO standards. These are global standards to follow. There's a whole bunch of different standards. There's dozens of thousands. Mainly they are published in English, French, and Russian languages. These are official ISO languages. Those standards are based on a so-called market demands approach. To find out the market demands, ISO conducts polling and marketing research. Another important component for assessment of the other thing is estimation of previously issued standards. How are these standards analyzed and assessed? The first method is the simplest. It is clear. We can assess the stats of procurement of the standards in different countries, or to summarize the stats of procurement. The ISO standards can be procured at standards shops or in the shops and centers of standardization in each country. We have Standard Inform as such a structure. On one hand, these stats shows which standards are in demand. That means that highlights the subjects of the standards of interest. On the other hand, many standards are procured just for reading, for perusal, and they can be bought accidentally. So this stats does not really indicate implementation and feedback or payback from those standards. So to estimate how popular the standards are more accurately, we also assess certification statistics, because certification declares and shows that a standard was acquired, it was used and implemented, and it was used for assessment, which showed that application took place. So the stats for certification is some interesting data which shows any stakeholder or ISO which standards the community needs. To estimate, to assess the popularity indication, the ISO conducts an annual survey. The survey is conducted so that a polling is made of the biggest certification bodies certified in terms of the member bodies of the International IAF Society. And then it is also confirmed with these IAF certification bodies. And then this stats is accumulated at the level of Central ISO office in Geneva. In terms of my report, I have prepared some stats, which is published by ISO, and I made a brief analysis with the data of trends of interest to some standards worldwide and in Russia. What is it that we can see in that stats? The first and most popular management standard is ISO 9001. We know that standard since 1987. We see that there's 878,000 certified companies worldwide. The number of such companies keeps growing slowly in the world. However, the growth in Russia is negative, -8%. How can we comment upon that? On one hand, this is a commonly recognized standard. Otherwise, on the other hand, it specifies many well-known facts. The main value is commonly accepted, harmonized terminology that can be used by the vendor, a customer, and the user when they communicate. They can speak the same language. The standard has a structure to maintain a structured process-oriented business and process-oriented approach, and this is what makes it valuable. However, for the time being, these concepts are well known and accepted since long ago, and the readers and users that are looking into something conceptually new and something disruptive in the standard or something more exciting, they will not find it in a standard 9001. So bearing in mind our audience in Russia, which is expecting something disruptive in the standards, we can come to understand some disappointment that 9001 became a somewhat simple standard for us. In other words, we have come across that stage, and this is like an ABC to us, no matter what. On one hand, the situation is a driver to apply the standards, but if the certification is not proper, it is also it is a major destroyer, because many companies that faced formal certification as a procedure stop treating the standard itself with respect. That's a damage for the reputation, which is clear. And many companies, I can indicate that many companies stopped treating ISO 9000 standard as a required achievement. Generally, it is used by small-sized and medium-sized companies in Russia, because mostly they are managed informally, and they prefer to follow their internal policies and procedures. And I would like to focus to highlight HSC, ISO HSC standards 14,000 and 45,000. ISO 45,000 indicates growth in the world by 69% and 78% in Russia. We have to treat these stats quite carefully, because it shows doesn't really show that all companies started caring about HSC. But the standard was issued quite recently. It is comparatively new. Prior to that, there was an industrial standard, and the stats simply indicates a growth and increment in transition from a SAS standard to ISO 45,000. Nonetheless, we can see that this standard is still quite popular. Alongside with HSC standard, it requires that shareholders of major companies and insurance companies and boards of directors of processing and producing industries, they depend a lot on KPI with respect to accidents with environment and employees. So there's a natural driver or a built-in driver, and we could say that this driver would keep us focused on the standards at high level. Nevertheless, you can see that the interest to environment keeps dropping, possibly because in addition to certification and global standards, there's a lot of other regulating tools in our country to monitor, to supervise the companies in these areas. The ISO 27000 standard is a leader in Russia concerning the number of companies that start using it. And people are more aware about digitization risks, and yet they expect their providers to follow international standards that will guarantee safety of their staff personal data. Because we are so hard-pressed for time, I would like to clarify to the effect of standards. If you were to recommend a current most common standards that are most comfortable for the companies, which of the ones that you specified here could be in trends, if there are any trends so far? First of all, I would like to highlight the most underestimated standard in this management system. It's ISO 55001. It's an asset management standard, quite an exciting standard that provides a company operating structure. If you look at it to the effect of asset management. On the other hand, it shows a sort of a bridge between the technical services, engineering services, and commercial services, and financial services. Traditionally, asset management is scrupulously studied in financial standards, and concerning the engineering and technical services that actually handle those assets daily and repair something or adjust something and verify something, or they train the other staff how to use the tools and so on. Those technical aspects were left outside for quite a long time, and as of now, this is a unique standard, and it enables a breakthrough in structurization and building communication bridges between engineers and finance analysts. We expect more attention to be given to this standard, and because we are facing COVID-19 and lockdown, we expect more care to be exercised with respect to healthcare and medical equipment standard. There is a European EN 15224 quality standard in EU. This EU standard becomes an ISO standard now, and we expect this standard to also be implemented in Russia. Thank you very much, sir. Quite unfortunately, we are already running out of time. We've been talking forever. I believe the presentations will be available. First of all, I would like to appreciate all the audience, both here in this hall and online audience, that the information will be available, and we appreciate your time, and if you can, we are always happy to exchange competence, and you are welcome to speak at such conferences. You will always be a welcome guest, a welcome visitor, and a welcome speaker at the next conference next year. We really enjoyed meeting you guys today. Thank you so much to our speakers, especially those who joined us from Novosibirsk. Thank you very much. We complete the session at this point. Goodbye.